So welcome, Ed. We're glad to have you on the line with us. So Jim, Jim's been a special friend of ours for a long time. We've known him, we met him through Isogenics, but we've been involved for 18 and a half years now. So it's been a special friendship with him. And I think he's a friend to everybody. He's been a real educator. He has the ability to explain things in a way that takes complicated things and makes them simple enough that I can understand them. And it really is helpful. The thing that impressed me several years ago was when he was asked to represent a university at Harvard, and he represented the Harvard they had a conference at Harvard University that was on the topic of what's wrong with food in America. And he was one of the most popular speakers. As a matter of fact, one of the groups he was in got so crowded they had to close down a couple of others. You can tell us a little bit more about that, Jim, but it's really been impressive to me over the years to know Jim and his ability to explain the details. And I was speaking with him a couple of days ago, and I asked him what his experience was with the collagen elixir, and he explained what it was, and I was so impressed. And then he said, and I've done a couple of seminars for other groups. Would you like me to do one for yours? And so I said, absolutely. So Jim, we're just really grateful to have you on the line, and we'll look forward to hearing what you have to say about why collagen elixir is so important a product for us. One other note before you get started. Jimmy Smith gave a webinar last night that we listened to. As a matter of fact, for those of you who are interested, we put it up on Vimeo. But he basically equated the quality and potential for growth with the collagen elixir to the growth of Isogenics. He said it's just almost by itself a single really important, really potential product. He said that it's like starting with a ground floor on the 19th floor because of the background of Isogenics. So with that, go ahead and talk to us about Isogenics Collagen Elixir.
Darian, thank you. And Elizabeth, thank you. You guys are always fun, and it's fun to look up here and see names that I recognize and friends. Am I coming across okay? You see it here? Here's my reason for Isogenics. If you're looking at the picture I'm looking at, which is my family. I don't know if, do you want me to share my screen?
Go ahead. I have shared it, right?
Oh, you're sharing it. Okay, is everybody seeing my kids and grandkids there? Well, it's grown a lot, but and I've lost a little more hair since that picture. And for everyone who wants to know what grandson it is that's been up at the primary children's hospital and had his femur bone removed and then replaced, and the miracle of the fact that he is up and with crutches walking, that's the miracle. That's him. That's little Andon Mitchell. And thank you for all of you who've jumped in and added your faith and prayers that he will make a speedy recovery, because the doctors are saying he is. But talking about a game changer, this marine collagen is that and then some. And just a little background on this marine collagen, it was 10 years in research before we batched this out for us, and how we obtained it is amazing, because it took 200 specialists working on it for 10 years, 50 of whom were doctors. That already tells you they realized if they could do what they set out to do, and they have, they would have something that would bless anybody who used it. And they accomplished their goals, in my opinion, having used it myself these last few weeks and really doing a deep dive on a study. A lot of people are going to say, what is collagen? What's it for? What does it do? Why do I need it? Don't I produce my own? And the answer, all those questions are great questions. And the answer is your body produces your collagen. It is the second greatest element in your body. The only one that you have more of than this protein collagen, literally, is water. So how important is it? Well, it forms every single one of the 100 trillion cells. How's that? And then it holds them together. It is the glue that holds tendons, ligaments, makes bones, makes skin, makes brain cells, makes everything that you are, cartilage, hair, fingernails, you name it. Collagen has a major role in forming, holding, and keeping it together. Up through the age of early 20s, we produce quite a bit. You've ever noticed a child's beautiful wrinkle-free face? That's because it is loaded with collagen. Their bodies are producing ample. And that's how you look when you have that kind. But at about age 21, 22, you start losing between 1 and 2% per year. You do the math, by the time you're 40, you're 25% already lower in collagen than you were when you were 20. And that's when you start to sag, droop, and that plumpness and that hydration and that beautiful glow you have in your skin, since it's the largest organ, it's where it shows up the most. There are literally 16 different types of collagen that work in your body and do different things. Type 1 through 4 are the major players of all 16 and do over 98% of all the work of forming, building, and keeping the body looking in the form that it's supposed to, which is healthy. The first 4, type 1, is the largest of all those 4, and it accounts for up to 90% of all the work that is done within the body. Type 1 is sourced in what we have now, which is our marine collagen. That is the source of our collagen. And I'll explain how that's done and what it's going to do and what the difference is, because you can get collagen from bovine, which is cow. You can get collagen from pigs. You can get collagen from chickens and various things like that. From the renderings of those mammals, we can extract collagen. Here's why type 1 is so important. Not only does it do 90% of all of the work of those top 4, but it's the most like the collagen our own body produces in size and action. It almost replicates what we produce ourselves. So it's readily usable by the body. 10 years of research has proven that out, okay? But here's the problem when you extract collagen, as we do, from fish. And marine collagen comes from, obviously, fish. Now, there's a couple of things that I probably should finish saying about collagen, and it is a protein. As hopefully we each know, protein is the necessary element to build what are known as amino acids. Amino acids are the base building blocks for every single structure in our body. It doesn't matter what it is, without an amino acid there, the bones, the blood vessels, the blood cells, every one of the 100 trillion cells needs the collagen to form the form of what it's going to be. And then they need the collagen to hold it together so whatever the organ is works together, okay? Hopefully that's all kind of making sense. And so we need the collagen, particularly if we want to stay younger and without drooping and looking older. the more collagen we can put in our body that the body can utilize, the younger we will stay and look. And we're talking about cartilage, guys. Here's some things that happen when you don't have enough collagen. Inflammation sets in. Anybody ever experienced inflammation? How about wrinkles, fine lines? We were talking about that with Lois just a minute ago, what it does and what she's seen with even scarring starting to disappear. Let me get to the note that I was going to read. There are 4 or 5 major things that start to happen to our bodies when we don't have enough collagen that show up, particularly in our joints, because it holds all the connective tissue together, such as ligaments and tendons, okay? And when those lose their elasticity, we get stiff. And when we lose the cartilage, it's bone on bone. So how would you like to rejuvenate all of not just your bones, your ligaments, your tendons, and everything else? What would it do for you if you could literally start to feed all of those cells that can use collagen to literally reverse the clock somewhat, or at least slow down the clock dramatically? Now, when it came to collagen, people who have been harvesting the collagen, and by the way, our collagen actually comes from wild fish caught off the shores of Norway. And that's some of the cleanest fish that they can get. And these fisheries, it's a sustainable fisheries, have worked out with the company that's producing this for us to build the manufacture of bottling it right on site or right next door. Here's why. The collagen molecules that come from the fish, which is coming from the fish's skin and scales, by the way, that's where it comes from, is extremely sensitive to oxidation. In other words, when oxygen hits it, it starts to lose its potency and it disintegrates. It still holds its form, but its usefulness drops drastically in a matter of days, weeks, and especially if it goes months. Most collagen that is sourced for people who sell it in the United States is sourced on the coasts, and it is shipped wherever it is needed. And even in that shipping of 2 days, 2 weeks, a month before it ever gets to its bottling plant, if they use plastic, they've got a double problem, because plastic is porous enough that oxidation can continue. So it needs to be locked away from oxygen. And this is done within about 24 hours of them rendering the fish. This is that fresh. And it's processed after the rendering, and it is then put in a glass bottle and sealed from oxygen. If you take the collagen that you can find out in the marketplace, 2 things have a problem. How long was it exposed to oxygen before it got here or at the rendering plant? And in what condition is it? Because if it was exposed long, it's lost half of its potency right there. Second, it's somewhat expensive. Obviously, it's not an easy thing to do to get the collagen in the first place.
Jim, we've lost you. Just hold on a minute. It froze him. See if he can come back. There's my Amy. Hi, Amy. I don't know where Jim went. I'm going back to the full screen of everybody. I don't know where Jim went. Marion, can you call Jim?
Yeah, I'll call him and let him know he's not on anymore. Hold on.
We lost him. I'll pause the recording.
He may have just logged.
Go
Okay.
for it.
Okay, Jim,
All
would
right.
you clarify one issue for us? And that is,
Please, go
we may
ahead.
be talking about this later, but the question is, how does bovine collagen, which I understand is most collagens that are available, compared to the fish collagen?
Bovine collagen does not have as much in it of type 1. Bovine is more a type 2 or 4, which has definite use, but it's not the big 90% of what marine collagen is, and can do so many myriad of things to make a difference. And here's the biggest one right here. Marine collagen is so like our own collagen that we produce. It influences the body to produce more of its own. And because they're using marine collagen and know that it wants to do that, what they've added to the collagen are the other ingredients that the body may be missing or low in to produce its own. And you've got a double hit. And those other things that it utilizes is literally certain vitamins and minerals. By the way, did I mention which kind of fish? I think I may have. It's cod, pollock, and haddock. Those are the 3 fish, and they're all wild. Those are the fish that's producing our collagen. Added to that are certain vitamins. This is where a new technology meets everything else. Now, to answer your question of bovine or cow collagen, yes, it's more plentiful because a cow is way bigger and there's a whole lot more of it. And they can render it faster and get more of it, but it is not type 1 as much. It has some, but not as much as fish, not nearly, okay? So hopefully that's helpful to know. Hello, Dave. There's also pig collagen, which is quite good, and chicken. The cartilage from the chicken really helps there too. But when they put this formula together, they added 3 super things. And as they added it, they used the new scientific breakthroughs of how to put it in, because the 3 ingredients the body has to have to produce its own collagen are vitamin C, zinc, which is a mineral, and biotin, which is also a mineral. So these 3 things, 2 of them, once you put them in the body, will store, 1 won't. Which vitamin do you suppose that is you need on a daily basis? Vitamin C. So here's what they did. They figured out some encapsulating science so that we have a legitimate 24-hour release vitamin C. And that alone, here's why that's important. When you take a vitamin C, the body has a quick uptake and then the rest is lost, okay? Because it can't store it. There's no way to store vitamin C. And so for the next 23 hours, you have no vitamin C available. There's no collagen being produced. When you have a slow release time, 24 hours, you got 24 hours of production of your own collagen. That is pretty profound right there. Then they added other nutrients, and those were like, let me read them here. Goji, aloe vera, acerella berry, and chamomile, which, okay, the things that totally, blew me away as I really, really looked into this of what collagen can help us do. One of them is not only hit inflammation, which is a major problem for the majority of the world. Inflammation is created by several different things, but the garbage in our body is the biggest cause of it, and that's why we cleanse, is to get that out of the way so it won't create inflammation. But if we have inflammation, collagen really reacts with that and helps remove it, helps it start working better. But I didn't realize how important collagen is for sleeping. Anybody here want a little deeper sleep and a little more relaxed when you wake up and feel like you really got the sleep you wanted? So we've got the taste and glow of wild berries and botanicals. You will experience in the first short period of time of using it, your fingernails and your hair. Now, I did not know this, and this is what got my attention. This product helps with hair production. Yay. Darian, you and I, we may look like shaggy, vagabonds after a while here if we get in it long enough. And just a more youthful experience. We're going to see that plumpness and that roundness in our cells and a more full face. And you'll see the little lines at the edges of your eyes, crow feet, I think they call it, and the big ones across here start to melt away as your collagen comes up. So anyway, back to the three major things that make this Isagenix product so much superior to anything you're going to run into out there. It takes 5,000 milligrams a day. 5,000, minimum 4,000, they say you need milligrams per day of production of collagen in your body, if you're doing your own, to really keep the youthful look, okay, and stay young and produce what you want in your cartilage, ligaments, tendons, and joints, and so forth. Most companies, you'll be lucky if it has a 1,000, maybe 2,000, so it's not enough to accomplish really what they're going after because it's kind of expensive. This company puts a full 5,000 milligrams in every bottle, one a day. That's awesome. So even if your own body isn't producing any, especially at first, as you do the second thing, which is all of these extra ingredients of vitamin C, time released, zinc, and the other ingredients of what makes more collagen in your own body, all those cofactors, your own production comes up and you age even more gracefully. So that's one. Number two, shelf life. Since it is bottled and sealed away from oxygen, you still have the full potency, not 50% potency by the time you get to use it. And you'll notice they could have saved money. They could have put a whole month's supply in one bottle. But what happens when you open the bottle during the next 30 days while you're using it? It oxidizes, and every day more oxygen hits it, the lower its potency. They figured that out, 1 per day. Nothing goes bad with the rest of the batch because it's sealed until you use it. And in the shipping process and the time shelf life that it's given, because it's in a good solid bottle and sealed away from oxygen and sunlight, you've got an excellent mix there, okay? And last but not least, it's the purest form because of where it's coming from. When you say Norway, everybody knows that the seas there are your coldest and your freshest and the least polluted. So we're getting a good, pure form of the collagen we want. So what can we expect if we use it? Well, hopefully you found the fountain of youth. And at my age, that would be extremely helpful. I'm enjoying my time on this earth and I wouldn't mind spending more of it. And since I'm in good health and want to stay that way, I think this will help with what we've already got, which is the right kinds of proteins and omegas that we're already taking usually, and cleansing and getting rid of the junk. We just added one more. It is actually a game changer and could be considered a game changer for anybody with just the collagen alone. So, yeah, I'm open to questions at this forum, unless at this point, if you have, and if you know how to unmute yourself and have a question, please ask. I'm sure there's a ton of more things I could have talked about, but hopefully I covered what collagen is, what it does. And there's a question. Go right ahead, young lady.
Okay. Actually, one of the other ladies on here texted me and asked, you mentioned that it was untouched, and I didn't even catch that actually. And so what did you mean by untouched?
That could be, I'm not sure in the sentence where I used untouched.
Okay.
But what I may have been trying to say is that it hasn't been contaminated because it's coming fresh. Two things are happening. They're taking the catch of the day, bringing it into the fishery where they're rendering it and processing it within that same 24-hour period to put it in our bottles. So it's not sitting in any open air, and it's not given time for oxidation to happen and lose its potency just while it's waiting to be shipped and or bottled. So that alone is, whoever figured this out is a genius, and it's nice to see you, Kathy.
Nice to see you too. And we're really excited and grateful that they have figured that out because we're enjoying the benefits.
Right. Well, it will just add another great tool in our tool box for people who, I never really stopped and thought about inflammation just in that area alone. Since inflammation is what creates so much pain, it makes total sense why you're going to sleep better with this in you if the inflammation is reduced by just this product, this collagen. And it's the one that, 10 years of research and study by 200 people, and 50 of them are doctors. It's been studied and restudied, not only by our scientists here in the US, but throughout the world. It is an up and coming major player for all health conscious people, especially starting at about the age of 22, 23. Imagine being able to go back and look as good as we did then.
Jim, tell me about the collagen compared to other companies. And a question before you get to that. What exactly are the 200 people that worked on this program over 10 years, all isogenics people, or is that a group of people beyond isogenics?
These were not isogenics people for the past 10 years. We got involved somewhere along the line and asked for exclusive rights to this. And we were up and coming enough that I think they were able to respond to that and say, we can fill your needs. Here's what we've done. We've got our rendering and our fisheries right here. The boats come in, we process the fish. We now have the skin and the scales. We can process it immediately and get the collagen out of it and immediately take it over and add what we need to add to it, which are the other ingredients of the botanicals and the vitamins, and then bottle it and seal it up so that we know that you've got a good product when it reaches your customer. So what are the other companies got compared?
Yeah.
I don't know of any other company that's doing it on site. This is the first one I've ever heard of that was doing the extraction and the bottling literally within the same 24 hours of the catch. That you can't get too much fresher than that, if that makes sense. Number one.
You
now,
also
maybe some other ones are doing it, but I just don't know about them.
You also mentioned that the bottling is in a little bottle where the oxygen does not go through and it is not porous. That helps protect it.
way more than a plastic throwaway. Yes, plastic is for everything, but people do not realize how porous plastic is. Oxygen molecules over time, if this sits on a shelf, will absolutely penetrate any plastic pretty much, unless it's really double walled, and get through and start to oxidize whatever's inside. Heat also can harm it because obviously it's an oil, and it's incredible. It is a protein. The proteins make up our amino acids. This is three major amino acids all coming together, and they then, in this formation, start to form the cells themselves. And then they connect and hold on to the cells like each other until the organ and the glands and the blood vessels and the bones and everything, the cartilage that makes your nose, the skin, which is the largest organ, it is responsible for all of that, including the hair that has fallen off my head.
So Jim, there's somebody on the chat who, her name is Nana. She says, my video is not working. I have friends who have knee problems and cannot have knee surgery due to age. How can this help?
Okay, as soon as you start to say the word cartilage, that should ring a bell. That is what your knee has between the two bones. In the knee, you have the big femur, and then you have the bone that goes down from there. And the two of them, the only thing that separates them is cartilage. In the past, it was thought that once cartilage is destroyed, you got bone on bone. And no one has ever really tried to regrow cartilage. It has been in the last literally just 3 or 4 years that they've reversed that and said cartilage does grow. It is a living entity in the body and it can continue to grow. This is what forms that. This is the nutrition and the base building blocks of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, muscle, blood vessels, skin, hair, you name it. It's when you're putting those base building blocks back in the body, now it's not as a lack of something to repair. It's, can the body now do its job? Will it figure out, I've got the tools now, I've got the building blocks, can I put them together and actually do something for this person? Now, the other thing about your friend who hasn't got the video portion to know is that when that knee has pain, the body's immediate reaction is going to do swelling, because it's going to try to rush building blocks to that area of the body. The second something starts to swell, and that's the body's way of trying to rebuild, it inflames, it swells, and it pushes all the blood vessels closed, and it stops the flow of blood and nutrients to that area. So when you can reduce inflammation and pull that inflammation out, you suddenly open up all the pathways for the building blocks to flow there again. Instead of taking months and years to regenerate and or repair, it can start almost immediately once the inflammation is out of the way. And that's just the body's way of repair. It is an automatic reaction. But the problem we are is the majority of Americans are walking around, their whole body's inflamed. We're talking major, major inflammation, which creates a very unhealthy atmosphere for everything, but it's a reaction that happens the second your immune system goes to work. And because we are fighting so many various things, our immune system is constantly, and it gets the signal, go to work. And when you have a massive problem like, let's say, pneumonia, part of your problem with pneumonia is the inflammation, as all of these immune cells try to gather down there and fight off whatever's creating the pneumonia, which was the virus that created it. Okay. Any other good questions?
Jim,
That
I
was
have a
great
question.
but- Yes, please.
I have a question about the numbers you put on the collagen 1, 2. You said there were 16 collagen. Do you
There's
need all
6.
16, or if you have number one covers all of them, or do you still need
No.
2 and 4 and that kind of stuff?
Yes, you do need 2 and 4 and all the way up to 16. Your body creates up to 16. So we know there's got to be a reason for it. The number 1 is the workhorse of all 16. It covers 80 to 90% of all needs. The biggest reason, it's the biggest contributor to your skin, which is the largest organ, which is constantly changing out. Your cells in your skin, you're losing yourself every few days and rebuilding yourself. So that collagen that's in there is getting lost too, and it's got to be regenerated for it to work. So that's where a huge portion is going to your largest organs, okay, particularly the skin. Second of all, these other ones are more specific. That's kind of goes back to the person who was asking about the cartilage in the knee. That's where the number 3 and number 4 collagen would be actually more needed. And so another source of those that are as high as our marine collagen is in 1, if they were higher in another source for cartilage particularly, that person would benefit greatly. But since cartilage makes a small amount of what's needed in the body, the 3 and the 4, or the 2 and the 4, I believe, are the 2 big players in cartilage. But number 1 plays a part too. They all 3 are important. Okay, great question though.
Jim, I have another.
And each of the, go ahead.
Anyway, the question is, Elizabeth went to the dentist last week and they were commenting on how healthy her gums look. Does it make a difference to gums?
Your gums have incredible blood flow. In your mouth, have you ever noticed that you can get a wound in your mouth, like you bite your cheek? And usually a wound like that usually will take 3 or 4 days to heal under a Band-Aid. And yet within 24 hours, your inside of your mouth is fully repaired, your tongue, whatever. And that's because of huge amount of blood flow, okay? Oxygen that gets there, and the moistness and the saliva and everything that is working, because you're constantly changing out huge amounts of what makes your mouth from your tongue to your cheek to everything else. And yes, blood flow to the gums is extremely important, and all of the skin that is your gum would be greatly enhanced or needs the collagen. Yes, it just feeds it. So yeah, but it also comes, Darian, I will say this, that Elizabeth, very much like Lois and her family, eat good, nutrient-dense food. You already have that going for you. You got some of the finest protein in you every day. You got some of the finest omegas in you every day. You got some of the finest minerals going in you. Those things all make for healthy skin, teeth, hair, fingernails. And I can't tell you how important minerals are, although we've been talking about it for 19 years.
I wanted to mention that I heard Dr. Plant talking about, or some of the other isogenics products that also have collagen, and discovered that the amped repair, which is kind of a newer version of an older product, has the type 2 collagen, which is more specific to so if I had a knee problem, I probably would choose to use both the collagen elixir, which has all 90, and use the repair, particularly after you work out, to help with the giving extra of that type 2. So I actually ordered it for the first time.
Good.
I've used,
Well, I think that is genius of you to figure it out, and Dr. Plant is right on. That collagen is not a type 1. It's the type 2 or 3, which is more specific to your cartilage, ligaments, and things that have to stick to bone, tendons. And the big reason it's in the athletic side, why it's called AMP, is that what happens in the gym to grow muscles, you have to literally tear them. And as they tear, and that's the pain you feel, no pain, no gain. That's what they say. If you want to gain mass, you break a muscle down, and when it repairs itself, it comes back doubly. And each time you do that, you're going to build more bulk. That's where you see it, but it'll also have the ability to be stronger. Case in point, when I broke my arm at the age of 15, it was in a cast for 6 weeks, and then it came out and all was repaired. If I were to fall the exact same way and break my arm again, it would not break where it had broken before, because that is the strongest portion of that bone now. It is almost twice as strong as any of the rest of the bone that didn't break the first time due to its own repair. So it's very similar what's happening with how muscles work, and it makes total sense what Dr. Plant would say. Use the bovine, and I'm guessing that's what the other AMP has in it, which has more of the 2 and the 4, and maybe 3. Okay.
another thing that I found very remarkable is that since Kathy Coover was using 2 bottles of the collagen elixir a day, I thought, well, if Kathy Coover can do it, I can do it. And so for the first 3 weeks, I was using it morning and evening. And Darian and I went out to walk, and over the winter COVID time where we were not being able to get out as much, I found that when I did go out, I had more trouble with my right hip, which I broke when I was 12 years old due to some probably genetic issues as a child. And it would ache, and we'd kind of have to go slowly, but usually it would work through, and eventually I could work it out. But it had kind of started to where we were taking very short walks, and I was not going very far, and it kind of wouldn't work out because I was probably less active and for whatever reasons. So I started the collagen and was using it twice a day. And my energy was great. I love how it makes me feel. And it was a pretty day. And I said to Darian, it's not that cold, let's go walk. Well, to my surprise, when we'd walked the usual amount where he'd say, how's your hip doing? And I usually, might or might not want to go on. I said, it's not bothering me at all. And so we kept walking. We walked 4 times as far as we had any time in the last 6 months. It never bothered me. And I thought, well, I'll probably pay tomorrow. I didn't pay tomorrow. It was just fine. And I've noticed since then that as I've gone out and been doing yard work, now that we occasionally have nice enough days to do that I'm not seeming to have that difficulty. And when I mentioned that on one of our team Zooms, one of my partners spoke up and said, Elizabeth, that injury was how many years ago? And I said, about 62 years ago. And she said, is that not remarkable? The human body has the capacity to take the building blocks, when given the building blocks, all the building blocks, including the cofactors, like the biotin, which I know my body just really needs and has trouble getting.
Yep.
This has extra. Yep. So the body can take those building blocks and repair, much like Lois, I'd love to have you share what someone mentioned something about a scar. Could you unmute and tell us about that briefly, please?
Some of the people were here when I said this, but some weren't. So my husband had open heart surgery, and that was 3.5 years ago. And he has had a large scar like this, that at the bottom he had a big keloid, and it was about that wide, about that long, the keloid part. The other part is just a regular scar. And someone on another call had mentioned that her scar from a surgery was almost gone. And so I was like, let's look at your scar. And it was half that keloid was much more narrow. It was half the size that it was. And it's not just the size of it, but it was puckering and pulling and itching. And he put vitamin E oil on it every day from as soon as it was healed up and able to do that. And it's not nearly like that. I mean, all that puckering is gone and the itching is pretty much gone too. So that, to me, that's worth everything right there. Just to not have that constant irritation and that big old ugly scar. One thing that someone mentioned had that the collagen is smart, or your body is smart, and the collagen will go to where your body needs it the most first. So if you've got something like that big keloid, although I've noticed his cheeks are much softer and his fingernails are growing fast, whatever, but still, I think the majority of his collagen has been going to that scar. If you have different issues, that's where it's going to go first. And it may not be where you want. You may be looking for your crow's feet and find out that that your joints work better. So everybody, you just have to trust the process and let your body do what it will do.
Agreed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If we realize that 35% of our entire body is collagen made, okay? Those proteins and those little amino acids form those chains and hold it all together. 35% of your entire body is made out of this. It's why you want a lot of it in you. And so when you're dropping 1 to 2% per year, starting at age 22, then you reach 73, suddenly I'm at 5% of what I used to make. No wonders I look wrinkly. But how fascinating that it comes out, so we can age gracefully and have the energy and the strength to go with it, because the biggest muscle is going to be benefited, and that's called your heart. So thank you for sharing, Lois. That was awesome.
Jim, may I share?
Anybody else have a question for? Yeah.
Yeah, Jim. Yeah, hi. Thank you,
Yes.
Lois, for that share, and everybody. You can hear me okay, right? I wanted
Yes.
to mention, I'm on Dave MacArthur's call, and being compliant, she had a procedure done a long time ago, and it didn't quite help. And she is Dave MacArthur's wife, Carrie, and she likes to either teach dance or dance, but she's had a discomfort level in her knee, which she rated an 8. Since the collagen use,
Wow.
Jim, it's now a 2, her discomfort level in her knee.
Well, that's what our friend needed to hear, who has the knee issue and didn't want to have it operated on yet.
Right.
So
Exactly.
fantastic. Thank you, Dave. That's awesome.
Well,
And I can see how come and why.
And
Thank you.
just repeat for the sake of everybody who's on here, one of the things I learned from you years ago was about removing the roadblocks to good health and providing all the building blocks and the number of cells in the body. Can you take just a minute or two with that? The body being the miracle as opposed to our taking, the collagen as fixing us or something. Can you address that,
Sure.
please?
Well, it's something that is the miracle we're all sitting in. We're a body of regeneration. We're regenerating approximately 1 billion new cells per minute. Just to count to 1 billion would take somebody, if they were counting by ones, would take them 33 years. You have 100 trillion cells. If you were to count 1/100th of them, which is 1 trillion, it would take a person 29,700 years just to count 1/100th of your cells. And yet you're building 1 billion of them per minute, approximately. And every time you take food that is high and dense in the building blocks that are needed by the body, we call that nutrient dense food, you will give the body the very building blocks it needs. And this last one that we just got, which is the collagen, is one we haven't had in the past. We'll add to what we've already got, which is already blessing our bodies. So the next best thing, I can't imagine how 100 trillion cells, I can hear them screaming every time I drink a collagen bottle now. I've been looking for this for how many years? Something like that. Please go drink a second bottle. We're dry down here. I'm not sure it's reached my toes yet. So I might do what you did and have 2 bottles a day. If I could grow hair, I'd bathe in it, but we'll see. The truth is, the miracle we have was meant to be treated well. We'll build Twinkie cells if we eat Twinkies. We will build healthy, vibrant cells if we eat good, nutrient-dense food. And thank goodness we have something like Isogenics that has found those kinds of foods for us, sourced them for us, found this new collagen product. This, wow, marine collagen is pretty phenomenal, so that we can have the benefits of it from the science and all the work that's gone into it at what I would say is a pretty darn reasonable price, because the cost of a knee operation to replace a knee now is not cheap. If we can put nutrients in us that will do repair and keep us from that, what's that worth? Just in pain and suffering alone and loss of time in a hospital. So people sometimes don't appreciate their health until they lose it. But I know of people who have lost it going after wealth while laying in the hospital being told, sorry, it's not going to get better. It's just going to go downhill from here. They would so gladly trade every bit of that wealth just to get back 1 or 2 more years of health. Because laying in bed, or laying in a hospital bed especially, or not having an immune system that could fight off just a common cold and all of the things that come with it, we need to be more grateful for our bodies and tell every one of those 100 trillion cells, thank you. Every morning when we wake up, we're grateful for you. And keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks for joining.
I'm loving it. Go ahead.
Kathy, you had a comment or a question. Can you do that? And then we need to close.
Thank you very much. I've had some people texting me that they have questions. So if it's all right, I actually have more than one. Is that all right?
Sure.
Quickly,
Okay.
Let's see how we do.
Okay. All right. I'm trying also to stay compliant. So I'm not sure how to refer to one of the problems, but when basically it's
Why don't
going
you
to
save
help.
that one for off air?
Let's
Go
do
to the
that.
compliant
Okay.
one.
And then I have a really dumb question. How about that? Would you like my dumb
I
question?
might. I'm good at answering
Well,
dumb
no, it's
questions.
going to make me sound really stupid, but that's okay. I'm going to do it anyway. So, okay. So this elixir that we're drinking, and we are seeing some wonderful results, progress. But when you're saying that, and I've heard this too, that it's supposed to be supporting our own bodies to produce its own too.
Correct.
In other words, in addition to what we're consuming. So we're consuming the 5,000 milligrams, and then we're making more is the deal. And
Correct.
so are we only producing type 1, or when it supports our bodies to produce its own collagen, are we producing
All
all
16. That's
Thank
a recipe.
you! That's what I wanted to hear. Oh my God.
Yes.
Thank
That's
you, because
why those ingredients are so precious.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
getting
good
results
question.
from personal results that don't fall into just the type 1 category. And I'm like, well, something's going on here.
Yeah, wonderful question.
Okay.
Yeah, that,
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's to help produce all 16, I believe.
Okay.
That's
And,
my
and
understanding.
well, then I'll finish the question by, then if it's producing all 16, and so we're doing, that means that we are more capable of being the miracle that God designed us to be, because we're getting all of the building blocks.
May I just say amen to what you just said? Yes,
Okay.
I agree. I agree.
Okay.
Yes. Beautiful
so much.
question.
Jim, thank you so much. We appreciate your being willing to
Sure.
spend time with us, answer questions, as well as do your presentation. We are really all blessed by having isogenics in our lives. And I believe with Jimmy Smith that this is a magic, effective product that will help us to help other people. And that's what we're about to be able to do. So thank you very much, Jim. Thank you for all of us, to all of you for joining all of us. And we hope you have a very nice day and week. Thank you.
Thank you, Darian. Thank you all. Love ya.
We
Thank
love
Good
you,
health to all
Jim.
of you.
Thank you so
Talk to
much.
soon. You bet.
Thank you,
Good night,
Elizabeth and
everybody.
Darian.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you.